Hey, and welcome to Productivity with Zest, the podcast that helps you get the important stuff done without burning out. I'm Jasmine, and I live and breathe productivity strategy, the kind that gives you life and helps you get the important things done in a way that works for you. Here I like to keep it real and practical. No fluff, all zest and no pith, just simple, doable strategies that help you focus, get organised and actually move forward. If you want to figure out what area of productivity is holding you back, take my quiz at www.zestproductivity.com/quiz. Now on to today's episode. Goodness me, you are in for a great episode today. My guest this week is Lisa, and she's going to blow your mind in lots of ways. But the thing that really stands out for me is there are so many things that we can do. Whether you're running a business or you're working in corporate, there are so many things that we can do. But Lisa gave me a reminder that although there are lots of things we can do, we need to choose the things that we want to do and then do those things really, really well. So without further ado, here she is. Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Productivity with Zest. And if you have ever shouted, "I hate social media," while scrolling Instagram for the 5th time today, then this one is definitely for you. I am here with Lisa York, who is the founder of Sell More Stuff. She's a digital sales strategist, helps women ditch the stress and sell through email instead. She's built her business around saying no to social media, but yes to results. So I'm really excited about speaking to her today and seeing how she gets the stuff that she needs to get done in her business without burning out. And hopefully it will help us all take some stuff away about how to actually sell through our emails and not get caught up in that social media algorithm. So, hello, Lisa. First of all, can you just introduce yourself, say who you are, and then we can keep going.
Oh, hi, Jasmine. Well, thanks for having me on the podcast and thanks for the lovely intro. You're quite right. I'm not a social media fan. It's not that I've got anything against it. I think it's a brilliant marketing channel, but I just personally don't like it. And I've realised from talking to my audience that they don't like it either. A lot of them don't like it. So yes, I do base my business without social media. But in my private life, my life is very busy. This is a productivity podcast. So, I love talking about productivity. My mum says Lisa doesn't do things by halves. And so I've got 4 children. I had them all in 4 years and 8 months. And since I've become a mother, my eldest is 15 now, we've moved house 8 times and we've batted back and forth between different countries multiple times. Australia, Cambodia. I'm now based in the UK, in Lancaster. And during that time, there have been all sorts of dramas and things going on. My husband's in the military, so he works long hours. He's often away. My eldest has autism. My second eldest has ADHD. There was a time when my third eldest had leukemia, when my daughter was 1 year old. It's all been really crazy. And so I've learned to become very productive and very efficient. And I've always run small businesses around all the chaos of family life. Having a business is me. I'm not mum, I'm Lisa. And I really love that. And I really find that fills me up. So yeah, this is my Sell More Stuff is my 3rd business. And like you say, I really talk about the power of email marketing and, how I create a system around that to work really hard for me, because I can only give myself maybe 15 hours a week to work. And so in that time when I do work, I have to be laser focused. And, we are business women. We need to make sales. And so I have created a system whereby my sales come through on autopilot with the big bonus. I don't use social media because I don't like it. My business works really well for me and I really love it. It fills me up.
That is amazing. So you must have to be super efficient. You said you have to be very laser focused. So when I say the word productivity, what does that mean to you?
I think the first thing that springs to mind is efficiency. I love being efficient and I love getting things done at specific times. I allocate certain times to doing certain things, which means that my big picture is always, how can I make sure those 15 hours when I'm working on my business, how do I make sure there is nothing else going on? I don't think, oh, I'll pop off and put the washing machine on, because this is one of the things that can happen when we work from home. Or I'll just quickly answer that email, because I learned very early on when I had my first child and I was pregnant with my second, I was doing a degree. And at nap time, I would be like, oh, it's nap time. Oh, I'll just do an email and I'll just put the machine on and I'll just, prepare dinner. And then before I knew it, I'd sit down, I'd start work and where the baby would wake up. I'm like, dang, I've just lost my work window. So what I make sure I do in my life is I do everything I need to do, because we've all got that minutiae and the boring admin. I get all that kind of stuff done. So then I allocate my work time. And when I sit down for my work time, I've done my thinking, because I allocate time to think as well. What am I going to sit down and do at my laptop today? And then I'm on fire and I get my work done. And I have 2 hours every afternoon between 1 and 3 generally. Sometimes during the week I can grab a morning here or there, but I just make sure that that time that I allocate for work is just for working. And a big focus of that work is making sure that my business creates sales on autopilot, so I don't have to be thrashing around on social media.
Amazing. At the start of this, guys, if you'd have seen the bloopers and the outtakes, it took us half an hour to start this interview because my tech was not working. But one thing that really stood out to me with Lisa was she said, oh, it's fine. I can do it in a little bit of time if I need to go and do my mic. But she was like, this is my work day. That really stood out to me because it was clear she allocates time and chunks time and blocks time for stuff. And that is so, so crucial. You want to make your sales automated. You want that to be the easy, simple side. How on earth do we do that?
Well, I always think about it as a journey.
Mm-hmm.
Your prospects, your leads, the people that you want to become your customers, you take them on a journey with you. And so the first part of that journey is your marketing. So a lot of people choose social media, and I think that's great. But that's that first point of call that you have with them. I don't choose social media. I choose to do things like this. I love chatting to people like you, Jasmine, on their podcast. People hear me speak. But whatever marketing antic you have, you should always be doing one thing, and that is driving people to your website. And from your website, you're trying to get them onto your email list. And from your email list, you're sending them through a welcome sequence, and you're building a relationship with them with the intention of selling. Now, it sounds quite simple and straightforward. It's actually quite nuanced, because what you need to do through that journey is take them step by step, incrementally nudging them towards a sale. And sales can often be a dirty word. I think particularly, I hate to single out us women, but I think particularly with women, we get all a bit icky and like, oh, I don't want to sell the thing. And the way I look at it is, we're not trying to flog them something. We're not used car yard salesmen coming, oh, hello, darling, buy this old motor. What we're doing is we're giving them a solution to the problem. People wouldn't follow us on social media or listen to us on podcasts or come to our website or join our mailing list unless they were interested in the thing that we're offering. And our job as marketers and small business women and, salespeople is to show them that we can help them. And that's what that journey is all about, from the marketing through the website onto the email list, and then building that relationship via email. You're just taking them through, guiding them by the hand, making it fun. I mean, I know that you're on my email list, Jasmine, and I get so much fun out of writing my emails, because they're not stuffy. They're not like, buy now before time is up. I just make it quirky and interesting, and I make it me. It's very me. Like, if you speak to me in person, you'll realize that I'm probably very similar to the way that I am in my emails, because I'm just being true to myself and I'm having fun while I run my business, which is why, it fills me up and I love it.
I love that. Yes, I am on your email list. I listened to you on another podcast and you did a really good offer, I think. And it was like, oh, yeah, I want that. And I think it was if you were the 50th person who signed up. And I was like, oh, come on, I'll be the 50th. I wasn't, but I'm on the mailing list and I feel like I got to know you through that mailing list. Like, this is the first time we've actually interacted, but just reading your emails, I feel like I know a bit about who you are because you're open about life, you're open about family, you're
Yeah.
open about your circumstances, and that is beautiful and very different than a lot of emails. And it's challenging to me because it's not that I don't want to share that stuff. It just doesn't come naturally. It's not my natural instinct. And that's what I want to get more towards because I love my podcast. That's my favorite part of my business because this is me. This is 100% me. If you were to meet me in the co-op round the corner, you would get the same Jasmine as you get on the Productivity with Zest podcast. And I was at some networking this morning and this beautiful lady came up to me and she said, I met you before your podcast and now I've listened and you're exactly the same. And that was such a compliment because that's what I want to be. I want to be that authentic, consistent. But I definitely feel like my emails need a bit of work. So, what are your top tips if someone comes to you and says, I think my emails need a bit of work?
I think it's about relationship building
Mm-hmm.
because people buy from people. And so
Mm-hmm.
the job of your emails is to build that connection. They may not be ready to buy when they join your email list, but if you can build a strong enough connection, when the time comes when they want to buy something, they don't think, oh, I'll go off to Google. I sell how to make sales. People don't think, oh, I'll go to Google and like, oh, I need someone to help me make sales. No, they go, oh, I'll go to Lisa York. Just the same with you, Jasmine. People would get onto your email list and they'll just say, if I need help and advice with being more productive, then Jasmine is the girl for me. It becomes a no-brainer because they've got to know you over time. You don't have to share anything in your emails that you don't feel comfortable in sharing. But actually, when you turn your mind to it, when you think about what you might say to your people, there's actually a lot that you can say. There's loads and loads of things that you can say to them, and it doesn't have to be too personal. You're not telling them all the explicit details of your life if you don't want to, but you can be personal in the way that you're saying it. So, for example, this Friday, I'm doing a launch. I put an email out yesterday because I'm doing a call on Friday, and I put an email out saying, at 3 o'clock, I'm closing down the cart. After that, I'm going off to pick up my daughter Lizzie from school. And they all know who Lizzie is because I use her name. That's something that I choose to do. I don't mind using my kid's name. Picking up Lizzie from school. Then from 4 till 5, I'm going to be doing the call. If you want to join, come in. There's my little call to action. Because at 5:30, I'm pouring myself a glass of wine while I cook the pizzas, because that's what I do on a Friday. So although I've given them a hard deadline and I've got them to buy, my personality is oozed through that. What have I told them? Well, I haven't told them anything deeply personal. I've just told them I'm a mum because I'm going on the school run. My kids still need picking up from school. So therefore, I'm doing this within the boundaries of school time and motherhood and all the rest of it. And they know that I like a glass of wine on a Friday. They know what wine I like, Pinot Grigio, because big glass of Pinot Grigio with ice while I put the pizzas in the oven. They know that Friday night's pizza night. So without saying all those things, listing them out, because that would be quite boring, I'm actually making it a fun experience being on my list. But at the same time, I'm making the sales. And I always just think if they're interested in it, they'll come, they'll buy it. And if they're not interested in it, I just think it's all just fun. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me whether people buy or not buy, but people naturally do because they like that they've been on my email list and they feel like they've got to know me. And then when they do meet me in person, they're just like you were saying in the co-op, oh yeah, you're just the same in real life as you are in your email. So it's about relationship building.
I love that word ooze. Well, I don't love the word ooze, I'm not going to lie, but I love the way that it builds up that picture throughout your whole email. Your personality oozes through it and it's unmistakably you. When I read an email, if I hadn't have seen who it's from, I would know it was from you by the
Yeah.
tone, even by the way you space things out in the email. That's different than
Yeah.
other people. It's your personality in the
Right.
email and that oozing through. And you're right, you're not spilling your deepest secrets, but people are getting to know you and who you are, and that you like a glass of wine on a Friday night. I love that.
Yes, I do. Yeah. And that's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Every email, people should get to know you just that little bit better.
Mm.
And the other thing about it is people can't steal your work. No one can copy and paste. I mean, people do, and I know that they do, but you can't copy and paste my story. My story's my story, just like yours is yours. And so if we can all just write to our own stories, and yes, I've had exciting lives, like I've lived in Cambodia and it was just epic, but people don't relate to that. People don't understand that. So I don't really talk about that too often. I talk about the school run and pizza night on a Friday and the woman who accosted me in the park because a dog came and sniffed me, or, just mundane, everyday things, but making it into a story.
I love that. I feel like I separate my business from me a bit too much in my emails. I don't think I do it in other places. Maybe I do. And it's not because I don't want to share who I am. I just feel like I am my business. And that's the most interesting thing about me sometimes. And maybe that's why I hold back a little bit. So you've given me a bit of a thought. I think I need to put some habits in and some intentional stuff there. At the moment, I send one email usually a week, sometimes two. If I'm launching something, it's a little bit more, but they're very structured, I would say. Probably they're not very storytelling. If I want to make that shift, how do I do it? Do I just start? Do I tell my mailing list I'm changing?
Yeah, I would tell them that you're making some shifts. I would say to them, I'm switching out how I do my emails, and this is what I'm doing. I personally always take people along for the journey. So I'm very upfront with my email list because this is my third business, but it's a new business. It's young. I only launched it in January. So I take my people along for the ride. I'm like, this is a really small list. And there's only a few of you on this list. So, I'm going to be very open about what I talk about. I just take them along for my business journey. And so, yeah, you can tell them if you're going to make the shift. I think that's a good thing. And tell them why you're making a shift, like what inspired you to make a shift. And then start writing into that. We've just met this morning in person for the first time. I already have stories. If I was you, I've got stories. And I can see your eyes widening, like, what stories? Well, I know, for example, that your husband is home today. And I'd be thinking, oh, did he have a day off? Does he work from home? Do they work together? Like, they're questions. You may not want to talk about those in your email, but they're questions that I would have. There are already stories. There are already things about
Yeah.
you that intrigue me. I know that you shop at the co-op. Think, why does she shop at the co-op? Is that because it's walking distance? It's a local store? Does she drive? Does she do a big shop in Tesco? Like these things are all just things that you would do. But once you start to tap into the fact that you're going to share those things in your email, you would be surprised how many ideas come into your head. And there is a bit of a rule, one thing per email. So what I do is I start with a story or a hook or an anecdote or something that I think will be interesting. I make a segue to talking about the thing that I want to sell. And then I segue to that thing. I make a sort of a correlation between it. So, for example, your husband came in and he sorted out your tech, and you can say, whilst I might not be great at fixing my microphone, I am good at productivity and whatever it is you want to sell, and lead that into your call to action. Now, the other thing I always do in my emails is I sell something or give a call to action in every single email. What I'm doing is training people as such. People expect now to see a link to something that I'm going to sell. It's not always a sales thing. So, for example, when your podcast, this interview gets launched, I'll write an email. It will be a separate email just for your podcast. And the call to action will be to click through and listen to the podcast. So that's one email in its own right. Some people do newsletter style. This week's news, I did this, and then I did an interview on a podcast, and here's this post on social media, and don't forget to click on my blog. It makes your head explode because now you've given 4 different call to actions, not one. So I would make those into 4 different emails if you've got 4 different things to say. What happens then is you realize that, hang on, I've got actually more things to say than I have weeks to say it in. So you start emailing more frequently. Now, again, people get a bit rabbit in the headlights, like I don't want to annoy my list by emailing them too frequently. What I would say to that is, do you read the news every day? Do you watch TV every day? Do you scroll on social media every day? Yes, you do all those things. People aren't opposed to doing things daily, if it was a daily email. People aren't opposed to looking at your emails and reading your emails. What they're opposed to is reading boring emails. And unfortunately, most of the emails that I open up, I just like, oh God, this is so boring. And I delete them or I unsubscribe from them because they're not interesting me. Back to that whole productivity thing, what do we focus our time on? Well, we focus our time on the things that we are interested in. In terms of email, you're never going to sell anything from an unread email. So the job is to get them read. And the way that you get them read is by sharing little morsels, juicy tidbits, things about not necessarily your life, but your business or whatever you think might be interesting. Think of yourself having a coffee with a friend and she's like, oh, Jasmine, I haven't seen you for a month. What have you been up to? You tell her some stories. You dig through and just go, what are the key things? What are the interesting things that I would share with my friend that I haven't seen for a month? And it's the same as your emails. You were saying you feel quite detached between you as a businesswoman and what you put through into your emails. But if you can try and merge those together so your audience get to know, like, and trust you, and do that through your writing, that's the key to starting to sell, because once they feel like you are a friend and they trust you, because the other thing is you want for people to revere you, you want them to know that you are the person that can help them, through the thing that you're going to sell, you are the person that can help them. And so it's that building of that incremental relationship, building it up slowly through time.
I love that. If you're on my mailing list, those people who are listening, expect some changes. And if I don't change anything, you have to make me accountable. Call me out.
Yes. Hit reply on Jasmine's email and say, this is boring.
Yeah. Oh, do. I might edit this bit out and then I don't have to do it. No, I will. And you've challenged me as well on my frequency of emails, because it is that battle between, I don't want to be annoying, but you're right. If it's an interesting email, then that's fine. I've got a couple of people who email daily. And I read them most days. They're quite interesting. Like, I haven't actually bought anything yet, but I will do when I know it's the right time.
Correct.
And I think that's a big challenge for me now, to bring my personality and who I am to my emails, because my temptation is, because I have a weekly, now bi-weekly podcast, that's my email for the week. It's the podcast. And then I am doing several calls to action, because I'm doing a different one in the PS. I'm doing one at the start, listen to this, then I'm doing do this. And I'm confusing everyone.
Yes. If they start at the top of your email and you say to them, listen to the podcast, they'll think to themselves, well, I'll finish the email and then I'll go back to the podcast. If you've now gone on to start talking about something else, they will forget about your podcast and they won't listen to your podcast. So it's actually better to have that rule of one thing per email, including the PS. Now, I know your English teacher would probably slap your wrists, because a PS technically should be an additional thing. PS, this is an extra thing, I'm going off on a different tangent to what the rest of the email is about. That's what a PS should be. But actually, really, in your PS, you should just summarize your email, because what often people do is they read the opening line, which is also super important because that hooks them in, and then they go straight down to the PS. Now, if your PS is something different to what you've got in the body of your email, in the body, it could be listen to the podcast, but in the PS, you've got go onto this LinkedIn post and have a read, they're going to miss all the other stuff. So the PS actually should mirror the email, even by the letter of the law. Grammatically, it's not technically correct, but poetic license. We're business owners. We can do whatever we like, can't we?
Yes, we can. We are the boss. I love that you're giving us a bit of a formula here for emails, because I love a formula. I love a system. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And having that opening hook, really strong first line, the PS that summarizes, and then throughout it, you've got the story, the
Hmm.
segue, and then the kind of back into the story, and almost like the full circle. And just one thing, one call to action, one thing, rather than this, excuse me, frog in my throat, rather than this newsletter style. So I'm on a list with somebody in America and she has just switched to more of a newsletter style. It's very mixed. There's lots of different sections. There's random stuff in there like about TV that she's watching, and it's good because I feel like I'm getting to know her a bit more, but it feels a bit chaotic and it's a bit too much. I preferred her old emails than this new style, but I do like that I'm getting to know her a bit more.
Yeah. And it's fine, the getting to know you bit has to merge into the what it is that you want them to do. So primarily like 98% of the time, the thing that you want them to buy, you've got to find, this is where the segue is important, something that connects those two things together. So the story can be any old random thing. Like I told a story in one of my emails about my son who's a bit of a handful, and he came in and he got all stroppy about dinner because he didn't like it. And I was telling that story, and then I kind of go away and just think, how can the heck can I sell something out of that? But what I did was I used the segue. I was saying, you can't choose your kids. You give birth to what you give birth to, and they're yours, and you've got to keep them. But you can choose the people that you get onto your email list through your opt-in process. There was my segue that made that completely random story into something that became a lesson and something that I could then sell.
I love that. So you write the story and then you create the segue.
Yes, I always start with the story. I think, what is it I'm going to sell? Or I have a range of things that I'm going to sell. So I often write the story and then I go away, and when I'm cooking dinner, I'll go, oh, light bulb moment. There's my segue. And I'll come back to it and I'll write that in. And then once I've formed the email, then I'll do the PS, and then I'll write the subject line. Because sometimes I used to start by writing the subject line and try and shoehorn my email into the subject line. I'm just like, this isn't working. This isn't where I wanted it to go. Because when I write, I want to be creative and fluid. So then I always write my subject line towards the end. And then I go back and I double check that opening statement. Like, what is going to give that pow so people want to read? And I'll give you a clue what isn't going to give them a pow. Hello, friend. How are you? Hasn't the weather been nice today? I'm just like, you lost me at hello. So personally, I never use a salutation. I do collect people's first names, but I use them in merge fields. What it means is that you put them into the context of the email, but I don't make it cheesy. I don't say, so Jasmine, would you like to buy my product? The other day I was talking about using AI to write emails, and I was saying this email's been written by Lisa Bot. And so towards the end of the email, I put in a merge field that would make it come out saying Jasmine Bot or
I
Sarah
spotted
Bot
that.
or Heather Bot or a whatever bot. I used the name so it's personalized, but I used it in a funny way. But I would never, ever, ever, and you probably noticed this as well, I've never opened my email by going, hello, Jasmine, how are you? Because I know I'm going to lose you with that because it's boring.
Yeah, I have not noticed that you don't do that, but I did notice Jasmine Bot.
Yes. Did you
I
laugh?
honestly, I did. I loved it. I was like, "Ooh, Jasmine Bot." Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
really cool. I really like that.
Yeah.
So the thing that made me originally reach out to you, Lisa, I love your emails. I love that work, but it was this no social media thing.
Yes.
And we cannot go further in this chat without addressing the elephant in the room. That is because all the teaching I seem to come across is yes, build your email list. We need to have an email list. But the way you do it is through social media and lead magnets and all that kind of stuff. You need to be using Facebook ads. That's the way to build your email list. And if you're not doing that, how are you building your email list?
Yeah, it's really interesting when people say you need to be XYZ. What that is code for is I am selling XYZ, therefore you need to be using it. So that's fine. I'm capitalist, I want to make sales. We all want to make sales. I love that, there's lots of people out there. But I think the first thing that you need to understand is the distinction between marketing and sales. Now, in my mind, and this is based on experience, I've been a solopreneur my whole life. This is my third business. I've been creating sales for myself for 30 years. And I am now applying all that knowledge to my business. And what I've learned is that email is by far and away the thing that you need to make the sales. This isn't the marketing, this is the sales. And I'm doing the same thing, like you need email to make sales. But actually, if you just go onto Google and look at the stats, people buy things from email because they've got that relationship. So in my mind, using email to make sales is the no-brainer. Then you've got the marketing. Now, the marketing, there's a whole buffet of different things that you can use. There's a whole array of things. What I would say is pick one or two, test them out. I'm a big fan of doing stuff in your business that fill you up and that you really enjoy. So yes, Facebook ads might work really well, and they do work really well. And I wouldn't ever deny that they don't. Same with social media, just that I'm not interested in using that as my marketing tool. Just the same as I'm not interested in using social media as my marketing tool. So you can cherry pick, you pick and choose the things in your marketing. I do it based on, like I say, what I enjoy, but also based on what works and also where your audience are. Social media is a brilliant, brilliant platform, and I would never dismiss it as a good platform. I would just rather spend my writing time writing killer emails than I would writing social media posts. And I hear people saying all the time it's a numbers game. In fact, I wrote an email about this yesterday. It's not a numbers game. If you can increase the percentage of sales that you get off a small list, so my list, I have only 100 people on my email list. I've started in January. I switched my marketing on. I was doing things like this podcasting and what have you. My sales funnel worked so effectively that I got such an influx of sales. I completely switched my marketing off, and I haven't had my marketing on since March. So therefore, I've purposely not been growing my list. And the reason why is because I've still been getting through the backlog of clients that have come as a result of that. And I crunched the numbers yesterday. 30% of those 100 people on my list buy from me. Now, in my mind, that is a lot easier to get 100 people and get 30% of them to buy from you than it is to thrash around on social media and try and get 3,000 people to get the 1% sale, which is quite a standard amount of sales off of a standard list. So I just think it's a better focus of my time, not using the social media and instead plowing my time into the emails, because that's the sales. And I do plan to switch my marketing back on. I'm going to do that come September because I've got plans. Then it's the summer holidays where mothers, it gets all crazy. And then September, I'm going to start to increase my marketing. And that's where the scaling comes in. But really, back to your question, how do I do it without social media, is I use other marketing channels. And as a solopreneur, we have to be happy to leave stuff on the table. I know that there are gazillion people out there on social media who would all love my stuff. They would all join my list. They would all probably buy from me. But I'm just like, meh, I can't do it all. I don't have enough hours in the day to do it all. So I'd rather focus my time on doing something like this. I'm coming onto your podcast. That's my marketing channel. I'm piggybacking, if you like, off of your audience. You've got an established audience of women who are really into productivity, and a lot of people on your list who have their own businesses. And I come in and I'm having the time of my life right now. I wouldn't be having the time of my life if I was on social media. And that is the thing that really challenges, I think, a lot of small business owners, because they think they need to be doing all the things, because people are saying you need to do social media and you need to do Facebook ads and you should be on Instagram, and you just have to go, I can't do all the things. I will never be able to do all the marketing. We'll save that for the big corporations who've got a marketing team. We don't. It's just me, myself, and I. But you just have to sit easy with just going, well, I'll reject the things that I don't want to do in my business. But you do have to have a strong, high converting sales funnel in order to make the sales. So yeah, that's how I get by without social media.
Wow. That is so efficient. Thinking about that
Yeah,
list of 100 people and 30% buy-in.
yeah,
Thinking about my list, I'm like, oh, I would love it if even 20%, 15% were buying from me. It would be amazing. So I
yeah,
think you've really challenged me, and hopefully this has been really helpful for my listeners who are running businesses to put more time on doing emails. And I think what I fall into the trap of, I want to get my email done. And just going back to what you were saying, you leave space between them. So you write the story and then you cooking tea, and then the segue appears like magic in your brain. And then
yeah,
you go back to it. And then
yeah,
you go back to the start and look at the hook. And then you write the subject. And there's thinking time and creative space in that writing process that really struck me. Whereas I write an email and I want to get it ticked off the to-do list.
yeah,
I want to be like, email for the week, done, scheduled, a week in advance, done, don't have to worry about it. Because
yeah.
I'm all about automations. I don't want to be tied to my business. A lot of my things run automatically. I've got lots of apps that talk to each other and tag and Zoom and ping and, do all that kind of stuff. But I think I've been so focused on getting it done as a tick on my to-do list that I've removed the creativity out of it. Because if I am looking at my to-do list and go, right, I need to write an email now, I'll do it, I'll write it, I'll write the subject line first. I use AI quite a lot, but my AI knows me very well because I use it so much, I input so much. So it helps me with my emails in my tone and that kind of stuff. But I'm now challenged to stop leaning on my best friend chat and actually write more stories, because I think that's where I've become detached, because I'm not writing it from scratch. I'm being very honest now with you, my lovely audience. I'm not writing it from scratch like lots of us do. We're efficient and we tick it off and it's done and it's written. And I've had 5 subject lines to pick from the content that we've written together, me and my best friend chat. And I'm feeling very challenged, which, if I'm feeling challenged, hopefully those listening are feeling challenged as well. I'm committing to change the way I write emails and to give more space for the creativity, because I do that in my business in other ways. I will mull over a project for a while, not forever. I'm very quick at getting going with things, but I will think about it and I will have headspace. And the ideas come when I've got half term with the kids and I'm cleaning and I'm sorting something out, or I'm at a park with them. That's when the ideas come. And I think I haven't been treating my emails with the same headspace that I treat lots of other parts of my business. So thank you for that challenge.
Mm,
And that's what I need to do. I want to give more value. I want to be more personal, story tell more, and hopefully sell a bit more in my emails.
yeah. And then it'll also become fun. Rather than you sitting down, opening your laptop and going, ugh, what can I write today? If you can make it fun and interesting, a lot of my thinking time I do on the school run, on the way home from the school run, because I don't have kids in my ears. I can't think about anything on the way to the school run. But when I walk home, back through the park, I do an extra loop around. I think to myself, right now I'm going to think about emails and the ideas come. The key thing is write it down because then 2 hours later, when you come to open your laptop, you'll think, what on earth was it I was thinking about earlier? So I have a list just on my notes app on my phone. Often I quickly send myself a little audio message. Sometimes I audio myself and then transcribe it and then paste that into an email. That's a really good way of getting that thing out there, because you're right. The thing about AI, and increasingly people are using it, is that it can start to sound robotic. Jasmine bot. You can start to lean on it too much. I think AI is a really brilliant tool. I think of it as a really smart junior assistant who I don't have to pay. Thank you very much. Because, I thrash ideas back and forth with AI all the time. And I might write my email and then take a sentence and just go, give me ideas to rewrite that. I know it's clunky, but I can't quite think why it's clunky. It needs to pare it down or what have you. And then I'll go, can you give me a couple of iterations of this sentence? And then once I finish writing the whole email, I'll always plug it back into AI and I'll say, give me constructive feedback. And sometimes AI will go, here's a rewrite. I'm like, no, I didn't ask you for a rewrite. And this is the other thing I like about AI. You can really tell it off and it doesn't get offended. You could be really mean to it. It's like, no, I didn't say that to you. I told you to do this. But I always go back through and say, give me constructive criticism or feedback on this email. And it will come back through and it will say, this is a good opening. You could tighten up this line. And then I change it and I feed it back in and say, do a grammar check. So my email writing process happens over multiple days. The ideas come in, I do a bit of writing, I go away, I think about it, all the things that you've said. And even once I've completed the email, I think it's ready to go out. Another filter I put on is this worth the reader's time? I'm coming into their email inbox. It's a very private space and they're going to be reading my email. Is this worth their time? And if it isn't, you have to be ruthless and just go, well, I'm going to scrap it. So what I do is I send myself a preview, but purposely don't read it straight away. And I purposely also read it on a different device. I always read it on my phone because it looks different on the phone. So I put in extra paragraphs and extra white space, and I do like little kooky things with the way that I word things. And sometimes I use really small font and sometimes I put big font in just to make it fun for the reader. And so then I'll go back to it again and I'll amend it on my laptop. There are quite a few iterations that go on in the process of writing an email. But in my mind, it's so important because that is the key to the kingdom with your business, because the business must make sales and email is where it's at in terms of making the sales.
Right. I feel challenged thoroughly and I want to really thank you for that. So that's been wonderful. I feel like I could talk to you forever. Before we finish, have you got anything that's a major do or don't in terms of getting more sales?
So I think probably the most important thing I would say is start doing it, get out there, make your fluff ups, apologize in the next email, laugh at yourself. I'm very self-deprecating in my emails. And I'm just like, I made a stuff up of that. And I tell people I tried this and that failed. But then when I tell them I've tried something else and it was a success, then they believe you. So I would just say, get on out there, do it, go for it, and you can evolve as you go.
So if people want to check out your emails and peek into your world and connect with you, where do they need to go?
Okay, so go to lisa-york.com. And I want to make a lesson out of this as well, Jasmine, because this is what you should do when someone says, what shall I do? Give them one thing to do. And that one thing is send them to your homepage of your website. So mine is lisa-york.com. And then I know that when they get there, the rest will just unfold, because when they land there, they're going to see a slightly unusual homepage. And then from my homepage, I hope to entice them onto my email list. They'll see the emails that are coming through and the journey starts, the relationship building starts. So a lesson and a call to action. Send people to your website. My website is lisa-york.com.
Efficient, a lesson and a call to action. I will pop that in the show notes as well so that you can click straight there and start that journey. I do recommend getting on Lisa's email list. Even if you're just curious about how it might be a bit different, get on there and I dare you to resist her and her charms.
I dare you not to buy from me.
I'm literally like, oh, Lisa, we need to stay on after this call. That has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa. You have been a breath of fresh air. I love your style. You are the same on this interview that I thought you would be from your emails. So I love that consistency. And I really hope that my lovely listeners have got something great out of it today. And I'm looking forward to working with you again in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jasmine.
Oh my goodness. I feel seen. My key takeaway is definitely do less, but what you do, do it well. Lisa reminded us that not everything needs to be rushed, automated, or crammed onto the to-do list. And if you want your emails or anything in your business, in your work, to truly work, give them space. Let your personality ooze through, because your story, your style, and your you-ness is what builds that connection. And that's all for today. Thank you for joining me on Productivity with Zest. If you want to figure out what area of productivity is holding you back, take my quiz at www.zestproductivity.com/quiz, and I'll give you some tips to help you along the way. If you've enjoyed this, hit follow so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, please leave a review because it really helps. If you want to hear more, head to www.zestproductivity.com. Until next time, stay focused, stay balanced, and keep bringing the zest to your productivity.